We have a lot coming up this half hour for our spring into summer weather special. Later on, I'll break down our summer weather outlook, and here's what else you can expect.
Temperature averages are rising. We look at how they compare to decades ago and how it could cost you money.
With the hot summer weather, how do animals keep cool? We're taking a trip to the St. Louis Zoo to find out.
Things are finally starting to reopen, and there are plenty of fun summer activities if you need a breath of fresh air.
And just like that, we're already in the middle of June. Thanks for being with us as we spring into summer tonight. I'm Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell. In the next half hour, all of our 5 on Your Side meteorologists have everything you need to know for the summer season. In about a week, we officially enter the warmest time of the year. From baseball to concerts and swimming pools, there's so many things to love about summer. Now, the pandemic put a lot on pause last year, but things are starting to turn around, and for the better. Summer tourism is really important for places by the river. 2 years ago, areas along the Great River Road experienced near-record flooding. In West Alton, across the Mississippi, water overtopped a levee, leaving many homes and businesses underwater. The floods were the worst in late May and early June of 2019, but the impact lasted much longer. In Alton, Illinois, water levels reached 39 feet. During the Great Flood of '93, the river was at 42.7 feet. The red line at the bottom of that Ardent Mills building shows where the level was in 1993. And as you can see, it wasn't too far below that in 2019. Grafton had to deal with its own major flooding. Then a year after that, the pandemic hit. It came as a double blow to towns and businesses already struggling to get back on their feet. But summer tourism could be the solution for recovery. The loading dock has seen more than its fair share of hard times. The floods in 2019 forced the restaurant to close for months. In 2020, it was COVID. But now this summer, it's bustling with customers.
It was a rough couple of years, but especially after COVID, we have this great luxury of being all outside. So people feel safe here, and people are safe here. That's what draws people every day, being next to the river and being outside and kind of enjoying the summer.
After you grab a bite at the loading dock, you can get a view of the Mississippi and Illinois rivers from above.
We sell the best view in the Midwest. It's for everyone. Anybody can ride this ride, whether you're in a wheelchair, whether you're 105, or if you're 2 weeks old. Anybody can ride the ride. We can accommodate anyone.
The Grafton Sky Tour had to delay its opening during the summer of 2019, eventually opening in October of that year.
It is what it is, and you make the best of it.
A sure sign of summer. Fireworks lighting up the sky over the Great River Road. They pop off simultaneously in Alton and Grafton every Thursday through September 9th. All of this and more bring customers from in and out of state.
I like the smaller stores, the crafts, and the friendliness of the people. The river, the outdoors, a lot of the hiking trails at Pierre Marquette.
Well, here's a live look over at Busch Stadium tonight. In just 2 days, the stadium will open at full capacity for the first time in well over a year. And fully vaccinated fans don't have to wear a mask. Last summer, fans could only watch on TV or buy a cardboard cutout of themselves to sit in the stands. You can now buy in-person tickets online right now. The team will host the Miami Marlins at home on Monday, and it'll be a nice summer evening for sure.
There are a lot of fun activities to do in and around St. Louis this summer, from concerts to swimming and hiking. And after being cooped up all year long, a lot of people are itching to get outdoors.
Summer concert season is back. The Powerplex in Hazelwood is selling tickets for movies and concerts. Back in May, the drive-in got rid of all its COVID restrictions. Some big names are coming to other venues around St. Louis this summer, like Halsey, Lady A, Maroon 5, and the Jonas Brothers.
When will I be there? I don't know. What will I find there? I ain't certain.
The Muni returns with live musical shows at the end of July. It starts with Smokey Joe's Cafe on July 26th, then The Sound of Music, 7 Brides for 7 Brothers, On Your Feet, and Chicago. Single tickets go on sale next month. Or maybe you like the sound of taking a trip to Six Flags. Last month, it loosened COVID restrictions. That means no more temperature checks, reservations, or empty seats on rides. And if you're fully vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask. Need to keep cool this summer? You can take a trip downtown to the Plaza splash pad. There are hundreds of nozzles that shoot water up into the air. It is free and open to the public. How about spending some time in nature? You can visit one of many state parks. Elephant Rocks in Iron County is a favorite with its famous giant boulders, hiking, and swimming. And don't forget, it's free fishing weekend in Missouri. Anyone can fish state waters without a permit or tag. And on the other side of the river, free fishing days are next weekend from the 18th through the 21st. That includes Father's Day.
And the Illinois Department of Natural Resources is kicking off its annual urban fishing program. Kicked off this week in East St. Louis. This clinic at Frank Holton State Park will run through August with 2 sessions a day during the week. Kids, parents, seniors, really anyone with an interest can learn to fish. Everything from baiting a hook to tying knots, tactics to catch a fish, and how to handle and return the fish to the water. The fishing rods, reels, bait, and tackle are included in the experience, which includes 90 minutes of catch and release fishing. Other locations throughout the summer include parks in Edwardsville, Grafton, Alton, and Centralia. Location and reservation information so you can go fishing is on our website at ksdk.com. Coming up, there are a lot of things out in the wild, like these bears. We have some tips on what to avoid and what you can do if you run into one of these. It's something you don't see every day. This bear was spotted walking through neighborhoods around St. Louis last month. Eventually, it went up a tree, was tranquilized, and taken to a safer location. And just a few days ago, there was another bear wandering around in Monroe County, Illinois. But there are other things to look out for in the wild. We talked with the Missouri Department of Conservation about what you really need to worry about.
There's not a lot of things that are going to want to eat you or attack you or anything in Missouri deliberately.
That's good news for those of us wanting to spend time outdoors.
The thing you probably have the biggest threat from when you're going into the outdoors, realistically, is the small things like ticks, chiggers, poison ivy. Those are things that I guarantee you will encounter.
Using a good bug repellent with DEET is a good first start to keep the ticks and chiggers away. And stay on the trail.
The more you're on the trail, unless you're going through brush and grass, the less likely you are to encounter ticks and poison ivy and chiggers.
Leaves of 3, let them be. That's the saying to remember.
It's important to note with poison ivy that you can get the oils that cause the irritation from any part of the plant. That includes the leaves, the stems, the berries, or even if you burn it, the smoke can possibly release some of that too.
The best thing is to avoid the tall grasses and wear long pants.
The majority of snakes are not venomous, and even the ones that are venomous are not typically aggressive.
The copperhead and the western timber rattlesnake are the 2 venomous snakes locally.
If we just keep our distance, the snake will not come after you.
In fact, most wild animals don't want to tangle with you.
If you get too close, or you get in a situation where they're protecting their young or something, any kind of wildlife could possibly act aggressively, and that's mostly in defense.
So what to do?
Keep your distance from all wildlife. Don't approach, don't harass, both for your own safety and for the sake of the wildlife, because that puts stress on them to have to deal with what they perceive to be as an intruder or a threat.
Now about those bears.
There's always a chance that you might encounter a bear, especially if you travel more to southern Missouri for camping or fishing or hiking or floating, where there tend to be more bears than around here.
If you encounter a bear,
make yourself look big, that you're not scared, that it's not something that the bear wants to tangle with, and then walk slowly backwards and make sure that you remain calm, but don't turn and run. Definitely don't try to get a selfie with a bear. Don't approach it for any reason.
And speaking of animals, up next we're taking a trip to the St. Louis Zoo. See how the animals beat the heat in these hot temperatures. It's finally pool season. St. Louis City pools are back open just in time for this hot weekend with temperatures in the 90s. All 3 city pools opened yesterday, but they're only open for limited hours. The reason? a lifeguard shortage impacting pools across the country. To apply for a job, you can click on this story on KSDK.com.
Data shows that our temperature averages are increasing and the numbers have been going up for decades. Here's how it may impact you and your wallet in the long run. All signs are pointing in the direction of warmer summers with more days at 95 degrees Fahrenheit or higher. NOAA climate normals are new in 2021 and are updated every 10 years. They are 30-year averages of our high and low temperatures. Climate Central did the research, and our warm summer nights have actually increased 4.5 degrees from 1970 to 2020. Also, our summers have the potential of being hotter, so we checked with our local National Weather Service to confirm.
Yeah, the heat and humidity are never fun here in St. Louis, unfortunately. But if you look over the last decade, it's probably not very noticeable. And if you remember, 2010, 11, and 12 were very warm, hot years. But recently, we haven't been that hot and that warm. And actually back in 2012, we had 21 days above 100 degrees, which we haven't seen since 2012. So more recent, the heat hasn't been too bad. But yeah, if you go back to the beginning of that decade, it was pretty stout.
And longer stretches of hot weather and more 95-degree days or higher are more frequent than they were in the 1970s.
They actually are. If you go back and look back at 1970s, we averaged about 8 95 plus degree days throughout the summer. You compare that to now, the last decade, we're up to 18. So we have seen an increase in these 95 plus degree days over the last 30 years or so.
The total summer warming is up 3.2 degrees in St. Louis, according to the research at Climate Central. When we look at the averages or normals, this confirms that our averages are going up, so our temperatures are increasing, but it may not be as noticeable to someone new to town.
I think it depends on how long the residents have been here. You know, if you've been here since the 70s and 80s, you probably have seen some changes. If you go back and look at the change from now to the 70s, it's pretty significant. But if you're new to the area and you've only been here 10, 15 years, you may not notice it quite as much.
Extreme heat puts a strain on electrical grids with the demand for air conditioning increasing. Utility companies like Ameren need to know the averages are rising so they can expect an increase in energy demand as summers have more of a potential to be hotter. In the future, U.S. air conditioning graphic shows this: by 2050, home use up by 60% and commercial use up 17%. Meteorologist Jim Castillo, 5 on your side.
We know how humans manage the heat: refreshing swims, cool drinks, and air conditioning. But how do animals handle our hot summers? I stopped by the St. Louis Zoo to find out. A brisk swim does wonders in the St. Louis heat.
They're chilled pools, so in the summertime we keep that pool temperature at about 60, 65 degrees.
But you know what they say, you can lead a bear to water. Callie actually prefers napping on his big rock in the sun on hot St. Louis days.
He can go into the back if he wants, but he chooses to be out in the habitat, either up on his rock work or in the sand, and that's where he takes his nap. So obviously, he doesn't feel heat the same way we do.
You know what animal is a bit more like humans? Hippos.
They get sunburned very easily, so they will spend the entire day pretty much in the water.
Many animals cool down the exact same way we do, hanging out in the shade, sitting down and relaxing, and some even take a cold drink. But giraffes can do this without any drink at all.
So they have ossicones, which are the small horn-looking structures on top of their heads. And so there's some evaporative cooling that happens there.
Evaporative cooling is when water vaporizes. It absorbs heat in the air, leaving a cooler environment. Speaking of cooler environments, let's talk about penguins.
The penguins that we have here outside at St. Louis Zoo are Humboldt penguins, and they live in Peru.
So heat is old hat for these guys. But when they do get hot, it's a little harder for them to cool off.
Birds don't have the opportunity to sweat. That is a luxury that is humans and some mammals can do, but for birds, they pant.
You heard that right, they pant, like a dog. They'll also puff up their feathers.
The reason for that is because bird feathers are very warm and very insulating, so in order to give off some of that heat, they kind of open up their feathers a little bit to cool off.
At the zoo, Tracy Henson, 5 on your side.
And check out what opened last week in Forest Park. It's the Ann O.C. Albrecht Nature Playscape near the World's Fair Pavilion. It's been under construction for about 2 years now. The idea is to let kids explore nature. 17 acres of activity, like a sensory garden, meadow, and mounds. And it's free and it's open to the public. Coming up, I'll have your summer weather outlook. Give you a hint. You like what's outside now? You'll love it. And this weekend is a real first taste of the summertime heat for St. Louis. Looks like the East Coast and back along the West Coast and interior West are going to be very warm. Now, our chances here could go either way, but what we're thinking at this point is it's going to be seasonably hot to above average. Maybe not by more than a degree or two, but it's certainly going to feature a couple of hot stretches July into August. That we're very confident about. When it comes to rainfall, that's a little more of a question. We'll have to watch for thunderstorm complexes. This is what was happening Thursday night and into Friday as they were dropping out of the plains. They ended up going across western Missouri and into Kansas, missing us. And the other thing we'll watch, what we're seeing tonight, a few scattered thunderstorms across the area. Our main source for water is going to be from thunderstorms for the remainder of the summer. And like the temperatures, we're in equal chances, which means it could go either way. We are thinking, though, after a couple of pretty wet years, this year's trending drier for sure. We have to rely on those thunderstorms to get our precipitation for the summer months. Drier than normal this year, much more so than the last few summers. And we could have some issues with that and some problems with agriculture because of that lack of rainfall. The potential certainly there. The tropics could impact that. We'll see what comes out of the Gulf. The West is looking very hot and very dry, and that's not good news for the folks there because they're going to have a tremendous fire season that is a bad one for sure. Meanwhile, here at home, we're going to have a hot summer because it's St. Louis. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. We'll leave you with the drone pictures tonight from Elephant Rock State Park, one of my favorite spots. Take a look at some of these beautiful sights.